shit. What the fuck was that? Oh! Welcome back to the Above Average Podcast. I'm joined today by Will's little brother, 14-year-old Will. And today we're going to kind of get into a couple different topics and added a new segment to this week's podcast where we're going to react to some clips towards the end of the video, so you don't want to miss that. But before we get started, I do want to appreciate folks over on YouTube. We hit 100 subs, Will.
Yeah, we did. We hit, 126?
We're at 126 as of this recording.
126, yeah. We're moving. And that's in, is it a month? Has it been a month?
A month, yeah, since we launched.
1 month, 126. That's pretty solid.
So just wanted to appreciate all you guys for subscribing and checking out the channel. Let us know what you guys want to see from here on out in terms of whether it's fitness content or if it's just different things you want to hear us talk about on the podcast. We're looking for ideas. We try to be as creative as we can, but sometimes the well run dry. Next week's episode, going to tease this a little bit. We're going to have a special guest on, so make sure, again, you tune in for that one. But it's going to be our first guest, so it should be pretty interesting. Will is struggling with his energy drink over there.
I wanted to see if it would pick up the noise I just made.
Yeah, he's over there slurping in my ear. Thank God I don't have headphones. I might get a little turned on.
Settle down.
First things first, I know we mentioned that this podcast is sponsored by Marshall Fitness, and we said we were going to talk a little bit about what that is. I'm not repping the gear today.
That's right. I only got one shirt.
Will only gave me one shirt.
Yeah,
so
it's on me. It's on me.
It's on him. I guess I should stop being so cheap and buy my own shit. But anyway, we talked about Marshall Fitness in the last podcast, and want to talk a little bit about what that is, because I know some people may be wondering exactly what is Marshall Fitness. And kind of what goes along with that. So
yeah,
turn it over to you.
Well, so I mean, this is it's kind of a long story, I guess you could say, because the thing is the idea for Marshall Fitness, just as a name, began in 2013. So I was in high school and I was playing soccer, and my brother and I would go down to our garage and we would lift down there, and we had like a curl bar. We didn't have much, and we also didn't know what we were doing. But just as a joke, we would refer to our garage as Marshall Fitness. And so that kind of like pauses there. I go to college, find the weight room while I'm lifting for soccer, and I knew that I loved doing that stuff, loved learning about all the ins and outs of fitness and working out and all that. But I was a major in political science, which makes no sense, especially for what I do now.
Yeah.
But by the time I realized that I wanted to kind of get into fitness more, I was already a junior in college, and there was no way I could change my major. So then I go to Westchester, and I was going there to be a teacher, like a social studies teacher. I was going to be certified 4 through 8 social studies.
That would have been tragic.
I know, right? Would have been a different thing for me. But so I never finished that certification, and so I came back from college and I started coaching goalkeepers, and then I was lifting like in my garage. I started working at a gym. I didn't really know what was next for me, and that was when I went to Virginia Tech as a volunteer assistant goalkeeper coach. I was there for about, I think it was 6 weeks. I always say it was 2 months, but it was literally 6 weeks because I moved there in late, I think January, and then by March 10th I was home because the pandemic shut the world down. So this is when things started brewing for Marshall Fitness. So I was in my room, and I read a lot, and this is probably a topic for another time, but like if you want to be successful, you gotta read. Like there's nothing, I feel strong about a lot of things, but that's one thing that I feel like is a non-negotiable, and the only people that have an excuse to not read is college students, because I know how hard it is to read all the shit they assign you in college. The expectations on college students in terms of the workload is insane. So it's hard to read for just your own personal sake when you're in college.
And you just took that whole reading rant after we just said you can't read.
That's true. We did say I can read, just not fast. We gotta just put that out there right now. But I can read. So anyway, I read a lot. I have a bookshelf that goes like floor to ceiling in my room, and that's what I was doing at the time. Is I was like just kind of researching, and I was just looking for something that would. I've always kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit, I guess, and I don't think about it that way. Like I don't refer to myself as an entrepreneur. I don't feel weird about that. I don't know why. But I mean, all through college, like I did private goalkeeping sessions. So I was a coach, and I would kind of like run my own business in that sense. And so I read this book called The 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and it's a bit dated now at this point because it came out in like '06, I think. But
It also has the 4 Hour Body. I read that one too.
yeah, same guy, yeah. And so whenever I read that, that really just got the wheels turning of like what can be possible. And so I started training people in person in my parents' garage. I had 2 clients. One of them is still with me to this day. It's been about 3 years for him. And I realized at a certain point that I would be limited by my time eventually because training people 8 hours a day it's just not something I wanted to do. I mean, that was kind of like, it was the opposite of what I wanted. You know, I wanted something that I could kind of run with flexibility and kind of do as I wanted. And 8 hours a day of in-person training is just a fitness themed 9 to 5 in a sense, and I didn't want that. And I mean, it's actually like a 5 to 3 or something because I mean, trainers work super early. So then I took things online in September of 2020, got my first client maybe a month after, and now I have 25 clients scattered. They're concentrated in Pittsburgh, but they're all over the country. And what I do for them is I have like a program called the Peak Fitness Challenge. And so what that includes is training program that's written for them, for the client. And it changes every 4 weeks to provide for some variety and progression. I have an app that tracks all their progress, has video demos, sets reps, rest time. And then they're able to log the weight that they did. They can see it from the previous week to try and, add that progressive overload in over time. I give them, macro recommendations to follow. They track their nutrition as well. There's a recipe book, there's a grocery list, there's a nutrition PDF, there's an on-the-go food guide, a lot of like resources, just kind of like educational type stuff. And then I check in with them. I'm kind of like on retainer in a sense as a personal trainer, like to answer any questions that they may have or might come up with their programs. And so that is the main aspect of martial fitness, I guess you can say.
And it's pretty much 100% remote, is it not?
Yeah, it's all online. I mean, now I don't do anything in person anymore. I did for a stretch about a couple weeks ago, but then that gym disappeared. Like the guy that owned it moved all his equipment to Tennessee. But now, yeah, it's 100% online. And so that was what it was for the longest time. And now we are stepping into this kind of media wing of martial fitness, which is separate in a sense, but it is not at the same time. So we got YouTube and the podcast and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean, it really like my kind of tagline is I work with former athletes of any level. So, I mean, you don't have to be like a former collegiate athlete to kind of understand the way that I structure things. High school athletes, I mean, even middle school, because the thing is the theme that I started hearing a lot. People would tell me I haven't felt fit since I played like this sport in high school or college or whatever. And there's a reason for that, because back when you're that age, you can play a sport and you don't have to worry about working out because you're active all the time. And then the second you retire from that sport, that activity level drops like, severely unless you find a way to do something else that provides for activity. And so that became, it just made so much sense to me.
Yeah, I know whenever we hooked up and we started working together, my biggest thing was, I played baseball and football in high school, all the way through high school. Mainly baseball was my sport. And that was when I was in the best shape that I had been in. And I hadn't seen that in, like 16 years. So, when you started talking about how you worked with former athletes and it wasn't just about the highest of the high level athlete, it was, today, a dad or whatever that used to, wants to return to his former glory. That was a big selling point for me. And I sit here today, 35 pounds down, in better shape than I was when I started, or when I was an athlete. I'm in better athletic shape than whenever I was an athlete. I can lift more, I can run further, run longer. Just the other day I'm in the backyard playing, baseball with my kids, and my son threw a short pop fly, and I was able to run and catch that ball. And even my son made a comment to me. It was like, I have never seen you move that fast. So, maybe I hear the Pirates maybe having tryouts because they haven't been good in years. So we'll see if we can make that happen. It'll be another Disney movie.
Let's go, dude.
Let's do
Come
it.
on now.
So,
So you brought up a good point though, and I feel like I should mention this. It's like, talking about like high level athletes. Like I don't want high level athletes, because the thing that, and I shouldn't say I'm against working with high level athletes. I mean, I'm a soccer background, so I mean that's what I'm versed in. But the thing is, with high level athletes, it's really, really hard to move the needle even like 1%, because those people, kind of similar to myself. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a high level athlete really anymore. But when I was at the peak of my athletic career, like you have, like a lot of your shit's already dialed in, and so you have to really go at like the micro level to make things better, and it takes a lot more time. But when you have people that are untrained, you can see so much progress in such a short span of time if you're just able to stay consistent for like 8 weeks and just do the stuff that, like if you go lift heavy and resistance train and eat correctly, you're going to see like big progress. Like that's, we call it beginner gains, because your body like is going to react to that stimulus quickly if you do it the right way. But like I said, with someone like me, like I'm not going to see 20 pounds of muscle gain in 12 weeks. Like, it's just not going to happen. And I mean, maybe that's a bit of a stress for anybody, but still, like I'm not going to be able to see super, super significant changes.
Yeah, I actually saw a picture on social media, and it was, and I'll try to throw it up here, but it was they were talking about bench press, and then the road to 225 was like a straight, like a drag strip. And then the road to 315 was this big windy road of how you get there. So it really hit home for me, because I'm seeing those, and I'm not to 225 yet. I know it looked like it, but I'm not. But it for me, somebody that hadn't benched anything but a jelly donut in 10 years, I'm close. I'm close to that. And,
yeah, you're what, 210?
Yeah, 210.
That's 210, right? Yeah.
And that's in 4 months.
Right.
And when I started, like 185 was a stretch.
Yeah.
And that might have been for like 1 or 2. So just to say all that is like, yeah, that's exactly how it is. You're going to see those, for those of you that aren't in shape right now, you're going to see those immediately, really quick gains, and really quick improvements. And I'm getting to a point now where I still have goals. I've hit my first goal, the goal weight that I want to get to. And I think I'm going to push that a little bit further, because I just want to get a leaner look. Like once I got to where I'm at, I'm like, I think I can lean out a little bit. But as far as strength, I'm going to eventually build back up, but it's going to take me longer to get back to, a 200 pounds, right? I'm at 185 now. I started at 220. Yeah. But I'd like to build back to around 200, 195 to 200, but lean.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a longer process.
It's going to be a different process too. Yeah. I mean, it's going to,
which Will's going to hook it up.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah.
So, but that's kind of my journey too, just to kind of plug Martial Fitness and the impact.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's not a lot of people that, because like 35 pounds is like, it's a lot. It's a lot of weight. And the thing you have to be careful with is, like, I've had people come to me that don't have 35 pounds to lose. Right. And then they see other people losing 35 pounds and they're like, I'm like, it's
unhealthy.
You can't lose 35 pounds, And so it really comes down to the individual person, and, some people are more out of shape than others. Some people have more body fat and less muscle. Some people have some muscle and maybe a little bit of body fat, or maybe a little bit more body fat, whatever. Like you can't, it's like, it's comparison. You can't compare yourself to someone else's journey, because it's never going to be the same thing. The factors are always going to be different. And so, you have to, I mean, just to kind of like bring it back around, like you have to focus on what's in front of you, rather than looking at,
and that's the good thing about Martial Fitness, is it's super individualized.
Yes. All right, what was it saying? What were you saying? customized.
Oh yeah, that was yeah. Back to what I was saying. Sorry, we had some equipment try to run away from us.
Got it.
But that's the really good thing about Martial Fitness is it's individualized, customized and individualized for each and every client. Is I think the main selling point. It's not a one size fits all. It's not cookie cutter. Whatever terminology you want to throw at it, it's very it's customized. It is, and like for me, it was simpler. My biggest piece of it was I just had questions.
Yeah.
That you were ready, willing, and able to answer. My biggest aspect was nutrition, and then like some different form things in the gym. So yeah, I mean, Martial Fitness has been great for me.
That's a good point. I mean, that's the whole idea behind it is like it is 100% custom, but the thing is, it's like the framework is the same because at the end of the day, like the stuff that works is the stuff that works, and so the way that it's custom is like, do you go to a Planet Fitness? Do you go to an LA Fitness? Do you go to an Anytime Fitness? Do you work out at home? Do you have a home gym? Do you have 4 days a week to work out at home, then you go to Planet Fitness on the weekends, and so then your program is made in that sense. Now, losing weight's losing weight. So that is the same. You have to eat less, burn more. And so, but like I was just saying, is like everyone's different, everyone weighs different, everyone has a different metabolic rate. So we try, everyone gets a different amount of macros and calories to follow. And then from there, it's like you don't know how it's going to evolve either. You could lose 10 pounds and then plateau, and then maybe you got to drop the calories a little bit more. And so that's the thing. It's like there's always room for it to change and adjust based on how you're progressing. And that happens through me. So I mean, like I said, people have kind of an open line with me to, like you said, ask questions and whatever it may be, form or nutrition or whatever. And if I don't have an answer, I'll find it. That's usually just kind of the way it goes. Because then I'm always learning about it as well. I mean, I think I know a little bit more than maybe the average person does, but I still don't consider myself a freaking expert. And so there's always room to improve all of it, and that's from my perspective, then also the client's perspective as well.
Yeah. So, Will gave a little bit of his background, talking through Martial Fitness and what that is, and went through a little bit of his athletic background. But I think there's a little bit more to your background and your experience, your expertise. So we're gonna put out a video on our YouTube channel that kind of covers a more in-depth look of who Will Marshall is and what his credentials are and different things about why he's qualified to be a part of this business, to be the founder of this business and what makes the business successful. So we're going to put that out on YouTube probably in the next 2 weeks. Just keep an eye out for that. We'll announce it on our social medias when that's coming out. So we got some decent things in store for that. So stay tuned, but definitely wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. So I think part of your DNA is, and you kind of put it to me so elegantly, was being a fucking winner.
Fucking winner.
So what does that mean exactly to you? I mean, you said it to me and I was like, man, that's pretty in your face. So let's elaborate a little bit on it.
Yeah, so I got to think about not how to, well, here's the thing. I guess I should say, it's like I've lost a lot. In sports. Like I have come in second place so many times. I mean, I literally, when I was moving out of home, I cleaned out my room and I had all these medals from playing soccer. And I shit you not, like there was 10 that were second place medals. Came in second place in a national championship, Division II. High school, lost a lot. My first 2 years at Pitt, I think we were 2-14, and now Pitt's a top 5, program. And I think in team sports, you don't have a lot of control over winning because there's more people on the field, and it's not just you, but individually having a winning mentality is really all about just your approach to everything, and so that could be the way that you talk to yourself in your mind, which is super important because what's the phrase? It's like whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Right.
And so if you're telling yourself all the time that you can't do something, then you probably can't fucking do it because you don't have your head in it from the beginning, And so this stuff goes back to I don't know where I got from, to be quite honest with you. I don't know what happened to me like when I was a kid, but I used to always, and again, I know we already talked about this, but I try to say this in a way that doesn't sound like I'm bragging because I'm not, but this is just what my individual experience is. But I always used to tell myself, it's like, I'm meant for big things. Like, I didn't know what that meant. I was like 12, like 13, 14, high school. And I remember getting all excited, like, you know, when you're talking about college and stuff. And I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I was undecided until I was like a sophomore in college. I really didn't know what I was doing with any, like, in any sense until like maybe 2 years ago. And so, but I still always had that in my head. And at EA, when you graduated, they do the senior exit interviews. My senior exit interview, I vaguely remember it, but the thing I remember the most is they give you like the little paper of like the feedback.
Yeah.
And at the bottom, the guy that was doing my interview wrote, "We're gonna see this guy on TV someday," and I never forgot that, and I didn't even know what it meant. Like, you know, it's like it doesn't really, like, I don't think I'm gonna be, you know, kind of on TV right now. But I never
Living the dream, people. Living the dream.
yeah, I'm like, what am I going to be, a TV anchor or something? Like, I never really had a desire to be like famous or anything, you know, but it was just like, I never looked at, there's different points in my life where I could have been like, yep, that was the best, you know, like, it's not going to get any better than that. But I'm always like, there's more, there's what's the next thing? Like when I played in the Division II National Championship, that was something that, like, it was insane. I don't think about it that much because it drives me nuts that we lost, you know, and I'm gonna start.
Well, because of why? What position did you play?
I was a goalkeeper, and I conceded 2 goals with 11 minutes to go in the national championship. Don't get me started.
Sore subject. You okay?
Don't get me started.
Are you
I'm
okay?
not gonna sleep tonight.
Are you okay?
But so that happened, right? And it was in Pittsburgh, which is the craziest thing. Like, I went to a school not in Pittsburgh. We came back to Pittsburgh to play in the stadium that I trained in growing up, and half the crowd that was there for me because I'm the only person from Pittsburgh in the entire Division II championships or whatever. And we lose. And that's another thing. It's like, I always thought to myself, like, if I go to a final, because I never thought I'd go to a final, especially because you're limited in college. You get 5 years, max. Yeah. And I always thought if I ever made it to a final, I'd just win. You know? Like, isn't that insane to think about? Like, I never thought about the fact that someone loses in a final because you're just there. It's just like, one more step, couldn't do it. But I remember getting on the bus after that, and there's some people that would look at that, like, you know the phrase, like, people are like, oh, I peaked in high school. It drives me nuts because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're a child until you're like 23 years old, and you're telling me 17 was the peak of your life, and that's always going to be what you're thinking about looking back to, and like that's going to be the golden years. You got 80 more years to live, dude. I'm going to live to be 100. Like, I was born in 1995, you know, like, I'm probably going to be like 90, 100 years old, and I'm super fit.
I got underwear that's older than you.
There you have it. But that goes to my point.
There you have it.
I was fired. But that goes to my point. You know, it's like, then you look at it this way. All these people like all these billionaires, like friggin' Bill Gates, he didn't start Microsoft until he was like 40. Like, there is so much shit to do. And the fact that you're going to chalk it at age 18 blows my mind.
Because Sanders started KFC at 70.
Yeah, super old. Like, you haven't done anything yet at age 18. You know, like, I was telling like goalkeepers I train, they're like 16, started driving. And I was like, you guys are kids. Like, you're a child. And they're like, no, we're not. Like, I can drive a car. I'm like, I don't care.
Look at hair on my chest.
I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm like, dude, you're not gonna think. I'm telling you, you're gonna turn 25 and you're gonna look back at 16 and you're gonna be like, I was a kid. And I still feel like I'm 27. I still feel like a child, you know? But again, back to my point, it's like you are in so much more control of what you're able to do than I think a lot of people think. There's so many people that are victim to circumstance. And again, everyone has a different starting point. Like, you know, some people, maybe they had a bad childhood, whatever,
So I'll share mine.
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
So I'll share mine. So talk about being a victim of circumstance and bad childhood, different things like that. I come from a background of alcoholism, drug addiction, mental disorders, just everything you can think of. And what I always tell people that I am who I am in spite of those things, not because of them.
Right.
You can make a decision. Now, listen, people have a lot worse of a situation than what I had.
Yeah, there always will be that.
But, you know, we had bar businesses growing up in my family. And, you know, what comes with that surrounding is, you know, a lot of alcoholism. Nobody in my family has passed away of natural causes. I've had my great grandfather lived till he was 90. He's the only one. Everybody else, 60's gone, tapping out. And, you know, because of that, I had to grow up really quickly. And, you know, I turned 18 and I was dating this girl who's now my wife. And I had to get out of the environment that I was in, which was home. And I slept on a hammock underneath her parents' back porch for 3 months while I was trying to find a job and get my own place. Fast forward, I find a job, I start working, making minimum wage, find my own place. Her and I move in together, and then I just started climbing the corporate ladder. I have a high school diploma. It's written in crayon, pretty much. You know,
Okay.
like
Oh,
literally.
I get it.
Sometimes Will's dense. He doesn't get the joke. But yeah, high school diploma, no college degree. I went to online school for like a year, tapped out of that. Thank God on the student loans. But again, now I'm, you know, by the time I was 25, I was promoted into a position where I could provide a living to my family, where my wife didn't have to work, and she could support our family that we were just now starting. So to say all that, just wanted to share, like, if you're in a bad situation or you're coming out of a situation, don't use that as a crutch. And I don't, you know, we don't know each and every one of you, but at the same time, you can't use that as a crutch. You got to use it as motivation to make better for yourself, your family, people around you. And if you're not in a good situation, you got to change your environment that you're in, and that includes the people you surround yourself with. You know, I know we talked a little bit about being a winner and the decisions you make, but it's also who you surround yourself with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and to say,
Will didn't know any of that about me until
didn't
just
know
now.
any of that, actually. Yeah, like that's crazy, actually. I mean, especially, sleeping in a hammock for 3 months, like, that's wild. I didn't know any of that.
My in-laws love them to death, but my mother-in-law specifically was like, "You're not sleeping under the same roof as my daughter." At 17 years old. There was one night, I think it was storming outside, and the water started coming through their deck, and I had to go. Like, it was either that or sleep under a waterfall.
Getting waterboarded.
And I slept on the floor. Nothing happened, but she destroyed me
No way.
for coming in that night. And I can remember, you know, my father-in-law would go and turn the pool filter on every morning, and he would, like, trip over me, or, like, intentionally, Chaz, kick the hammock, just to, like, let me know. And years down the road, like, my father-in-law is one of my best friends now.
Yeah.
And, you know, years down the road, we laughed. He was like, the only reason why I let it happen was because I knew your situation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always, like, because when you start talking about stuff like this, because we both did it. It's like there's always it's like, oh, well, other people have, like, there's always gonna be something. And, like, yeah, you know, and because there's always somebody when you're telling a story like this where, like, oh, what about that person? It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, just because there's levels to it doesn't invalidate, like, what you experienced. You know, like, that's life. Like, life is life across the board for everybody. And again, like, I mean, people have different starting points. That's just what it is. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the shit you went through is not as rough as what anybody else does. You know,
Sure.
And so, but again, and it's like having I don't even know if we should call it a winning mentality, because you're not always going to win, you know, but I guess or maybe that does work, because you're always trying to win. Like, I mean, no one plays to not
Yeah,
win.
you don't play to lose.
No.
I mean, like my whole motivation was I wanted a normal family life. Like I didn't grow up with a normal family life. And not to say that my life was terrible growing up. You know, I had material things.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't have a solid support system. So like my senior day, for example, my last high school baseball game, the last time I was ever going to run into a baseball diamond in a meaningful game. And it's my senior year. Like
Yeah.
parents come and show up with balloons and different things.
Yeah.
Nobody in fucking Blue Chips. Nobody. The only thing I got at my senior game was from my coach's wife, who had all the seniors made a plaque. And it was for us. Nothing. So that's my motivation for my family, and my drive is they're always going to have that support system.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be there. You know, because there's other things I could have done corporately, what I do now. But that would have uprooted my family's life. And I did that once just to provide better and get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
But we came back.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's I said it again, it's my motivation is to make sure that my family always has that support system. To say all that to say, you got to find something that just drives and motivates you and just hang on to it. Like everybody says it's a chip on your shoulder. You know,
Yeah.
Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round or 5th round. Whoever's paying attention is going to come after me because I got that wrong. I don't care. But the point is he was drafted so late. You look at Brock Purdy, you know, Mr. Insignificant or Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
They have that chip on their shoulder, and that's what motivates them. Mine is I needed a support system. So that's what motivates me to make sure that my kids have that and I can provide those kind of things for them. So just find that chip on your shoulder, that thing that motivates you to keep you going.
Yeah. I mean, I think chip on your shoulder is a good point. And I think mine's always been to boil it down to one simple thing. Because, I mean, the name of this podcast is the Above Average Podcast as of right now. But there's something that my siblings and I used to say to each other, because in growing up, my brother and I were always like, and I didn't realize this until kind of recently, is like we had this, like a family friend of ours would always come over and like throw football with us. And like he was, you know, like 40 when we were like kids, and we would always want to like do like diving catches. And we would just keep going until we did it. Like it was always like one more. And even up into college, like my brother played college soccer for a little bit, and we would go to the field and run, and we'd like want to bail out. And then he, like one of us would say like, all right, have fun being average. I'm like, all right, well, now I'm going to go fucking do it. You know, like I'm not going to sit there and take that. And so, and that encapsulates everything, like of the way that I've done things. It's like, I don't want the average normal. As far as I know, I only get to do this shit one time, you know, and I'm going to do what I want, you know, and I'm going to make it happen my way. And if there's shit in my way, I'll figure it out. And like, I think that goes to the next thing here is like just making things happen and taking action, you know, and it's like people wait for the right time, the perfect circumstances. Shit doesn't exist. The notion of taking imperfect action, just doing something to get yourself rolling. You know, I talk about momentum all the time. Taking one step, just one step is all you need. Doesn't matter even if it's a failure. Just do something and get yourself moving in that direction. That's what's going to kick things off, you know. But sitting around waiting for the sign of like, oh, now's the right time, you're going to end up 10 years down the road and haven't done shit yet because you were waiting for the perfect circumstances. Like it's never going to happen.
You got to create those circumstances.
Yeah, it's never going to happen the way you want it to. And like that's just something that like taking action is something that I've done. Like I was thinking about this the other day. In 10th grade, I was in journalism class, and there was only like 10 of us in the class, I think. And I only did it for 1 year, and I was always told I was a good writer, which I used to write more, but I don't really do it as much now because it takes forever, and I can't read. So, but at the end of the year, our teacher gave out like awards, like, you know, it was like kind of just recognition for different things. It was super cool that like that was even done because it was very specific, and I got the Go Getter Award because we had an assembly. And there was this guy who came, and similar story, like he kind of had, you know, like like had a rough upbringing. Like he was like homeless for a stretch. He had a little brother, and he kept talking about this little brother. And I interviewed him for the newspaper after the assembly, and then I went out of my way to find the little brother. Like they knew each other, like they were cool. It's not like he was like a stranger or anything or like lost, but like I reached out to the little brother and got like the scoop from him for the article, and it was just kind of one of those things where it was just like I didn't have to do it, but I went out of my way and made it happen. And it's a very it was this 10th grade journalism assignment, but it kind of that is just what it is. You know, like if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna make it happen. And if I don't say it, then I'm probably still thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I won't put it out there unless I know that I'm gonna go and make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, quite frankly, we wouldn't have been doing this if I hadn't annoyed you enough to
That's true.
start doing this.
Yeah.
Like, so, bitches, I made this happen.
100%. But I mean, that goes to show, like, as well. Like, I mean, like, because you completely jumped into this stuff with, I mean, just because you wanted to do it. You know, like, not looking at any kind of. I mean, you don't know if we're gonna get more than. We don't know if we're gonna get 127 subscribers. You know.
Right. True.
And so it's like. This is literally what we just talked about. Is on both of our ends is like just committing to doing something and being consistent with it and just seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
Because the other part, with a lot of things, all you have to do is outlast everybody else because other people quit.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you're able to stick with something for 5, 10, 15 years, the majority of people quit after like 6 months. So if you just can commit to some longevity and keep showing up, success is going to find you one way or another.
For sure. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to run through a brick fucking wall right now.
That's what I'm saying. That was my goal. Caffeine, motivational speeches by Will.
Humble brag. So I guess we've been very motivational, very lifetimey with my story, especially.
What I'm best at.
So I don't know if anybody's crying, but grab your tissues.
If you are, take a picture, send it to us.
Yeah, share it. Let me know if you started crying a little bit. I mean, if we connected, we have a connection, huh? Do we? Aside from that, so what we're gonna get into, I think, is a little bit of fun right now. So we got some clips. We're gonna completely switch gears from the motivations and maybe have ourselves a laugh, talk about some things.
Yeah.
Have ourselves a laugh. What am I, fucking
Let's get
British?
silly.
Let's get silly. All right, so I brought a couple clips. Will brought a fucking
Who's first?
clip.
On yours.
He tried to talk over me. Will only brought one clip.
Yeah, that's on me.
I'm the one doing all the fucking work.
But it's a
around
good
here.
one.
Okay.
And I've got a good explanation for it too. Like I feel like I can really like
Okay.
break it down.
Okay. Well, let's see it. So let me try not to bring up this search history here.
I mean, it's just gonna say Minecraft tips.
Oh, something about the tip. All right, so this was the clip that Will had sent in, and let's see what we got here. I'm not gonna log in. All right, so let's see what Will sent in. Oh shit! What the fuck was that? Oh!
Do you know what happened?
What did I just watch? Did her quad explode?
Well, she tore her quad on the side. Like it's, I can't remember what it's called. It's the lateral medial something on the outside. So it's like, I mean, basically.
So I've heard that it just like rolls up.
Yeah.
If
So
it's hers.
yeah. So basically, what happened here, and this explanation I was talking about. So like, you know, like say you hung a rope from the ceiling, but didn't like attach it to the ground. And
Yeah.
you tried to cut it.
Yeah.
Like it'd be hard to cut.
Yeah.
But if you secured it and then you swung a knife through
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
it'd be easier.
Right.
So what happens here, and I can't knock this girl because like I've been in those situations where it's like you just want to go for it.
Yeah.
But this is not how you fail. You know, like the second you see things go south when you're doing an Olympic lift, like you get away from the bar. So it's either you're pushing the bar away from you, you're falling backwards, create distance between you and the bar. Letting it drop onto your legs like that. So what happens is like her quad is contracted when the bar hits,
And so that's the
When it
analogy.
smacks her in the thigh.
Yeah, so like if you had a tight rope and then swung a knife through it, that's basically what happened to her quad because it's contracted and tight, and then she drops 155 on her leg, and her quad just snaps and then contracts up. That's why you see that big bump. Yeah, and I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but I'm pretty sure I nailed that. But yeah, like that's I mean, it's I mean you ever seen a bicep tear?
Yeah.
Like it snaps and
Yeah.
stuffs up to the shoulder.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing.
Yeah, I've had a strain in like the nurse whenever I went to the ER because I didn't know what the fuck was going on with my quad. She said she had torn actually both of hers, I think playing volleyball or something.
See, I tore my quad in high school from kicking balls, but it wasn't. It didn't look like that. Like it was like.
That's like off the fucking bone. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean that's probably I had a partial tear. That's a complete tear.
Yeah.
For sure. I didn't know what happened when I first looked at it because it's like you see like a ditch in your leg.
Yeah.
I thought it was like one of those like is it cake videos, you know? Like
Yeah.
maybe she
Yeah.
can't get cake. That's stupid.
It's a cake. Yeah. I don't think cake can move like that.
Hey, with CGI these days.
Shit. That was crazy. I mean, it was a good clip.
Yeah,
Proud
that's I don't know the context of what's going on there, but
All right.
somebody should have said
So
something.
here's some for you to check out. So this is the first one. Now they're in no particular order, so I don't even remember. But all right, so let's take a look at this one. Here we go.
I already know what's gonna happen.
Ugh. So let's talk about the shins first.
The
off.
shins, bang
Let's
out
talk
the
about
door,
the
yeah.
shins.
It's
So what's up with this movement? Is this like
it's
a CrossFit
it's a
thing?
kipping pull-up. Yeah, it's CrossFit. So
What's that do for you? And is
Well,
that the form?
yes, that is the form. So it's called a kipping pull-up or a butterfly pull-up. And so the idea is
Sorry, I don't mean to blind anybody with this. That's why I covered it up.
sunglasses. So basically, because the thing about like the point of CrossFit is like this is a Metcon, so metabolic conditioning, and so the idea is like you have a certain amount of reps and movements that you're doing, and the goal is to do it as fast as you can. And so with a kipping pull-up, just allows you to complete the reps faster. You're still, I mean, this is a gymnastics movement. Like
It
everyone,
looked like he tried to dismount.
Yes, yeah.
Fair.
So strict pull-ups are always going to be strict pull-ups. Now, you probably don't have any business doing a kipping pull-up or a butterfly pull-up unless you can do at least 10 strict pull-ups because it can be pretty rough on your shoulders. I personally don't know how to do those. I've never figured it out. But the goal there is just to do them. Like you're trying to complete the reps as fast as possible. And so what happens is like, because when you go down, your legs swing forward to help bring you back up. So as his legs come up, he loses grip, and that's why he flips backwards and goes shin first onto the barbell there.
I mean, there's nothing worse than fucking wrecking your shins.
I know that hurts so bad.
Worse than landing on his head.
Yes.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, he does a full backflip. Oh, well, not full.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing too. Is like that's purely an accident because that guy, like he looks like
He's folded.
he knows what he's doing though. Like that's not like like you see these CrossFit videos of people that have don't really know how to move well and they do something that's really dangerous and they probably shouldn't have been doing it. Like this guy looks like a vet and that's just an unfortunate accident.
Oof.
But it can happen.
I mean, folded.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the next one. Oh, so I need to know if you've ever experienced this. Have you ever seen this?
If it's what I think it is, no.
So let's see.
Oh, he's gonna pass out. Oh shit.
Boom! Just straight like.
Yeah, he just.
First off, what is he doing? Why is he just trying to rock it the
He's
rest
just
of the way
trying
up?
to get it up. Yeah, he probably probably hit like a sticking point around mid thigh, and then like
Rocked it up.
you shouldn't do that.
No, I should just put it down.
Yeah, like that. Like that just.
Like I've been to a point of having headache,
Yeah,
but like
I usually get headaches after. Like if I do a lot of deadlifts, a lot of heavy deadlifts, like just from because you're breathing, like it's a lot of inhaling and holding, and then your whole body's tense when you're pulling a deadlift. And so I've seen so many of these videos. I've never ever been close to that happening.
that's like in the way he like it's not like he just melted.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was just
it's like a rag.
Locked
Yeah,
up.
I don't know what it is, and like I've always, because I've been asked this before, and
Have you ever seen it happen? Besides video?
No, I've never seen it happen in person. I've never been close. I mean, I did a clean one time and I caught myself because there's like a vein that runs across
Yeah.
your collarbone. Caught
That's
myself
different.
there, and that made me see white. But again, like never like that. And I knew a kid in high school that tried to tense every muscle in his body and he passed out.
So funny enough, bodybuilder that he actually I work with him. He was talking about that whenever they would pose, they would get pictures taken and there's a bunch of mirrors around or whatever.
Yeah.
He said they would pose and they'd be so locked up. He's like, next thing you knew, he woke up. Wonder what happened.
Well, yeah, and they're also extremely depleted on all of their water. And
That's something we'll
food.
have to talk about next week with our
Yes.
guest star.
Yeah.
Little teaser.
Because I mean, when you're
Guest star?
that
Guest.
close to like when you're in the prep phase and you're like a week out from competition, like you're not
Dehydrated.
feeling good, yeah,
Probably.
feeling bad.
So write that down.
Yeah, it's a
Question
good
to ask.
good thing to ask.
Easy, Will.
Is there another one?
One more. Oh yeah. Oh, this one goes back to a video we just did. I'll link it right here. I mean, it might not be right here. I'm just trying to be
Somewhere
cute.
in there, somewhere.
But we're gonna link that video for proper spotting.
See what that's gonna
This
be. That's like 335 on there.
this is not proper spotting.
The worst spotter ever.
Come on, you got this. Go up.
No way.
Like, what do we? Not only did you stick your hand in that dude's ass, but he also didn't save the weight.
Yeah. See, well, look at what's going on here. So this guy's got gloves on, right? He's wearing gloves.
Yep, he's got the fingerless gloves.
That's
The worst spotter ever.
the indicator of the wrong guy to ask you to spot.
Go up. Come on, up.
Like, and then, like,
How did the guy lifting the weight feel comfortable? Like he had to know that guy's kneeling behind him.
yeah. And not to mention, like, I hate those racks
Yeah, they suck.
because he had to walk out that far
it is
to get that deep into his squat.
Yeah.
Like, I hate those racks in general. But, like, this dude, like, what is that move? Like, what are you doing? What are we doing?
He's tried to be the puppet master there, I guess.
I don't know. That's not how you spot, as you heard in the video. But if you want to see the proper technique on spotting specifically squats,
We did it. Yeah.
check our YouTube channel out, and I'll link it here.
I don't know, man. It's kind of like the website, like people at Walmart. Like there's
Yeah.
just never not gonna be people doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
You know, and like that right there is like Exhibit A, and
And you said in that video very specifically the things that we did. Some of them were silly, but they weren't that far fetched.
No, I've
like
seen people do
you
it.
standing over me
yeah.
and
I've seen
helping me
people
up
do
with
it.
that bench press. Like,
You know what? Speaking of which, actually relates to that. I was in the weight room Friday, and there was a wrestler lifting, and it was just the two of us in there. And like, I don't know, like, I mean, there was a coach, like, there's athletes around, whatever. And this dude asked me for a spot. This dude's massive, like 6'4", and he had 275 on the bar. And I'm like, honored, you know. And I go over there, and I'm like, all right, how many we doing? You know, and he's like 2, and I was like, all right, what do you know, do you want me to help you? Whatever. He's like, I'll just do 3, 2, 1, lift it off, and I'll just go. Move 275 like it was nothing for 2. And then I was like, all right, bro, I'll be around. And like but it was crazy because like I know how to spot, and like you know, it's not a problem, but there's still that little bit of like nervousness,
Yeah,
a little bit
for
where I was just like, oh shit, if I can't get this up, and like I mean, again, this dude's super strong, and he had no problem. But then like I think I helped him for one more at like 315, and again got it easy, and then like I just went back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was low key stoked. This guy see me moving weight. He's like, he can help me.
humble brag.
Yeah. Jesus.
You and your fucking humble brags.
Somebody's got to do it.
I mean, I don't want to sound like, you know, I'm this or I'm that, but I'm definitely this and I'm definitely that.
I don't know how else to say it.
I'm that fucking dude.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're not flexing right now.
What else we got here?
All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. Don't forget to check us out next week where we have our special guest appearance on that. That should be fun. Really looking forward to talking to that individual. So before we get out of here, Will, where can they find you?
So my Instagram is @WillMarshall_1. YouTube is @WillMarshall1. Facebook also @WillMarshall1. And TikTok, WillMarshall_1.
So that's confusing, but
I'll work on that.
And YouTube, hopefully you're already here and you already found us, but same thing, just search Will
Yeah,
Marshall
why'd
on
I
YouTube.
say that?
why'd I tell them where the YouTube was? They're gonna be watching this on YouTube.
It's all right, I'm here for you. I got you.
All right, fair enough.
And you can find me on TikTok and Instagram. Instagram is MarkyD25 and Instagram is MarkyD17. Don't ask. I wish I would have made better decisions whenever I made
You
those.
can change it.
Will tells me I could change that. He's a little bit more of a social media guru than I am.
You can, yeah.
We'll work on that. But for now, that's what it is. If it changes, I'll pop it up on the screen.
There you go.
But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Fucking flexing.